I was looking at immigration data across Europe, the United States, and Canada, and one thing stood out to me. Africa is not failing because we lack intelligence. In fact, in the United States, research has shown that African immigrants, or perhaps I should say expatriates, are among the most highly educated population. One report found that around 40% of African immigrants had at least a bachelor's degree, higher than the overall US population. Many are trained in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, healthcare, finance, and other fields that keep emerging economies running. Across Europe too, migration policies increasingly focuses on attracting people with skills, education, work experience, and youth. And many Africans fit that profile perfectly. We are doctors, nurses, engineers, care workers, coders, accountants, drivers, builders, students, researchers, and entrepreneurs. So the question is not whether Africans are smart. The question is, what is our intelligence being used for? What does our education actually produce? Did we learn how to think, build, own, create, and transfer wealth? Or did we mostly learn how to qualify for systems that were never designed for us to control? Knowledge, they say, is power. But there's a difference between being educated and being powerful. There's a difference between having a degree and owning the institutions that hires degree holders. There's a difference between being useful to an economy and having ownership inside that economy. And that is where we must be honest with ourselves. Many Africans have become excellent at serving systems that we do not own. We're praised for being hardworking. We're celebrated when we're obedient. We're accepted when we're useful. But when the conversation turns to ownership, policy, capital, land, media, technology, energy, banking, and control, we're often missing from that table. And because this is life, if you're not on the table, you're usually on the menu. The people who own the wealth own the businesses. And the people who own the businesses decide what problems get solved, who gets hired, who gets paid, how much they get paid, and what kind of future gets built. So if all our education does is make us better employees in someone else's vision, then we have to ask, what did we really learn? This is not an attack on education. Education is powerful, but education without ownership can become a polished cage. You can have a degree and still be trapped. You can speak with eloquence and have no economic power. You can be respected at work and still have no control over your future. You can earn a salary and still be one emergency away from starting all over. And this is not just personal, it is historical. Africa is the richest continent in the world in minerals, oil, gas, land, culture, youth, and intelligence. Yet so many African people are forced to leave home because opportunities has been stolen, mismanaged, or destroyed. The resources extracted from African soil have helped build some of the richest nations on earth, while many African countries are left with debt, instability, underdevelopment, and dependency. Then the same systems that benefited from the extraction turns around and tell Africans that migration is a privilege. They make us grateful for survival, grateful for minimum wage, grateful for rejected jobs, grateful for visas, grateful to be tolerated. But people who come from wealth should not be trained to celebrate crumbs. And yes, we must also speak about leadership. Too many African leaders have betrayed their people. Too many have sold national futures for personal safety and comfort. Too many have allowed foreign interests to influence elections, policies, security, and resources. And external powers have often benefited from this corruption because a weak and divided Africa is very easy to exploit. The pattern is not new, we've seen it many times. Create instability, benefit from the chaos, sell weapons, offer loans, control resources, build military bases, support leaders who will cooperate, then call it aid, call it democracy, call it development. But we must be careful not to place all the responsibility outside ourselves. Because if we only blame others, we give them all the power. The truth is this: Africa's liberation will require both external accountability and internal transformation. We need a new kind of African mind, one that is not just keen on creating awareness, but also keen on taking responsibility. Because everyone is aware, from the politicians to the leaders to the international community, everyone is aware, so we no longer need awareness. We don't just need to be educated, but awake, not just employed, but economically organized, not just talented, but institutionally powerful, not just proud, but strategic. We have praised ourselves for being street smart, jungle smart, and survival smart. And yes, survival intelligence is real. Our people have survived slavery, colonialism, dictatorship, poverty, racism, borders, wars, and displacement. But survival is not the same as freedom. Survival means you made it through the fire. Freedom means you own the benefit that comes from the land, the water, the tools, the schools, the banks, the media, the farms, the codes, the companies, and the future. So, we have survived. Now we need to take the freedom. That is the shift we need today. We need young Africans building banks, not just opening bank accounts. We need young Africans to own farms and produce subsistence crops, not just cash crops. We need young Africans creating technology, not just consuming apps. We need young Africans to fund viable political candidates, not just complain about politicians. We need young Africans controlling media, not just reacting to narratives. We need young Africans to invest together, buy together, build together, protect each other and put each other first, and think beyond individual success. Because individual success is not enough. One African doctor in London can be called a success. One African engineer in Toronto can be called a success. One African nurse in New York can be called a success. But African-owned hospitals, African-owned research labs, African-owned universities, African-owned investment funds, African-owned media networks, African-owned technology companies, and complete mining rights to African-owned mineral resources is not just success, that is power. That is the difference we need. The next generation cannot inherit only degrees, accents, passports, and motivational quotes as we did. They must inherit assets, inheritance, confidence, and self-worth that is beyond things. They must inherit a mind that refuses to believe that Africa's role in the world is to provide raw materials, cheap labor, culture, music, athletes, and drama stories for others to profit from. Our education must be reoriented towards ownership, not just employment. We need to study how wealth is created and preserved across generations, how networks of capital and influence operate, and how to build parallel competing institutions rather than merely excelling inside existing ones. Migration can be a bridge, but only if the bridge leads to genuine leverage both at home and abroad. Because the world does not reward people simply for being smart. The world rewards people who organize their intelligence into systems. And until Africans build systems that protect African interests, we will keep producing brilliant individuals who survive inside systems designed by others and for others. So the question is no longer, are we educated? We are. Yes, we are. The question is, what are we building with our education? Are we building someone else's empire, or are we finally ready to build our own? Note, we cannot do that by complaining or raising awareness, because as I said earlier, everyone who needs to be aware is more than aware. We can only start building our own thing by taking full responsibility and taking action, not just awareness.